Hey fam, welcome back. Hopefully you're doing good and having a great day. If not, please let me know what I can do to help you. Until then, I want to talk with you about a couple of things. One, I want to talk about the Kirk assassination. And then I also want to talk about the Epstein files because I'm not letting the Epstein files go. I refuse to. So that being said, I do believe that they are tied together. And so I'll get to that here in a second. First, I want to talk about Charlie. Charlie represented America in a way that I would say no other face did because Charlie represented open respectful discourse, right? He represented open thought. And it's not as though he was a conservative, he was a moderate. And or at least that's what I'm seeing from people who did know him, right? So for that to have happened to him in such a manner, that really sets civil discourse, back quite a lot because he was one of the only ones that was going out and having conversations with people. Steven Crowder did it at a point in time. Well, if you look back in 2015, some on into 2016, 2017, maybe 2018, you definitely saw other faces like Candace Owens, Brandon Tatum, uh, Ben Shapiro, and then Steven Crowder, all those other guys. Um, they were having discourse, but they don't have nearly as much as what they do now. And Charlie was one of the only ones that was going out and doing that. It created an environment where people could clash their ideals together to come to find common ground. And so it's that is who Charlie was. He was what was holding everything back from essentially civil war, right? He brought humanity into the conversation. And well, now that's gone. And so I say that our future has never been so uncertain now, but it also hasn't been so clear. And I say that because when something like this happens, when a high profile assassination like this happens, history always repeats soon after. Always. And we are right there at the precipice of civil war because people are ready to shut down conversation. I was talking with people today, same thing. They were ready to shut down conversation and get right at it. Not unprovoked violence, of course, but they were not interested in conversations. Understandably, excuse me, understandably, because, well, when you've been told for years now that you are the enemy based on simply your beliefs, whether they be religious or political, you get tired of it eventually. And I understand that. As well as watching other people around you get killed for their own beliefs. I understand that. But what we have to realize is that if conservatives, because the leftist morons are already emotional and they're already losing their shit no matter what. But if conservatives continue to lose control of their emotions, tensions will absolutely escalate. And that's exactly what these oligarchs want us to do. They want us to lose our shit. They want us to lose our control because when we lose our control, they gain more of it. And so we can't do that. We absolutely cannot do that. Self-defense, by all means, yes. But unprovoked violence is never the answer. I would highly encourage all of you to protest peacefully, but never look for violence. Never look for violence. That being said, I also recommend you guys take a look at some of my training videos. Take a look at getting into ammo, medical equipment, food, water, just in case things get really, really bad. Because I am expecting within the next 5 years, especially on this trajectory of politics and economics, this country is in for a very, very rude awakening. And I think the downfall is here. I really do. I really do think that. And so the earlier you prepare, the better it's going to be, not just for you, but for your family. It's a warning. Do it now. Don't wait till later. Do it now. If you don't have the means, find it. I'm telling that to myself too. So there are quite a few things about the assassination that doesn't seem right to me at all. If you haven't seen my analysis of the shooting itself, I highly advise you go watch that, because the more information that comes out, the more discoveries that are made and shared with on X that the experts aren't talking about, really makes me question if Tyler was actually the shooter. And it starts with, how in the fuck did he even get the rifle up there to begin with? Why is it that the photos that were taken of the rifle were taken at night despite them finding it at daytime? Why is it that there were vehicles that had shown up to Tyler's place that were not local there? I ran across Candace Owens' video a few days ago. In one of her shorts, she was saying that there were vehicles with license plates that were not local to the area, and there were many of them. So I'm kind of confused as to why that was the case. Another thing too is, how did he even get the rifle out of there for him to drop off the rifle in the wooded area like it was supposedly found? Or where it was supposedly found. If you look into the video, there was no rifle at all as he was leaving. There couldn't have been. The motion that he had expressed, landing, hurting himself, and then continuing on, there would have been no way that he could even fit a rifle in there. There's just no way. There's no way at all. So that just doesn't make sense to me. Another thing to think about too is how Charlie was shot. I mean, just the copious amounts of blood that was coming from his neck this way would only suggest that the entrance... Sorry for the mix-up, guys. I meant to say exit wound. Wound was here. Like I was saying in my previous video, if you haven't, please go see it. I'm not going to put up a lot of what I found, but no, or not in this video, of course, because I'm just talking about my thoughts here. And so I highly advise you go watch that. Okay. So that would suggest that, again, that the entrance wound was this way, because everything was flowing this way, right? We never saw an exit, or we never saw, we never saw the other side. We never saw the other wound. I think if we saw that, that would make us question things a hell of a lot more. There's no autopsy. Matter of fact, another thing to think about too, and I'll be saying that a lot here in the video. Another thing to think about too is he was already in an open casket, 48 hours later? So he was already embalmed. He was already in a casket. And there is, or at least not many pictures of him in the casket. Understandably so, because we want to respect the family, right? But I find it extremely odd how he was in a casket so quickly. How there was no autopsy. There's hardly any transparency coming from the federal government at all. Matter of fact, it's not even the federal government that is doing these investigations. It's regular people like you and me that are actually doing the actual investigation. I mean, I've never seen an organization, an entity that has so much power at its fingertips to spy on its own constituents, yet fail so fucking hard at some of the most basic shit. It's absolutely revolting to me. Anyways, just so I don't go on a rant about that. I find it also interesting at how Charlie slumped over when he was shot. Anyone who is hit directly on, and this is a theory of mine, would absolutely fall over. Right? The way he was hit carried him this way. So it would suggest that he was hit from the other side here on his right side, and it came out his left, which would suggest that there was another shooter. Perhaps maybe Tyler even wasn't the shooter. Now, Occam's razor would have us believe that Tyler was the shooter because that's what everyone is saying. And that's what a lot of people would like to believe. But you do some more digging, you start asking questions, and this is exactly why I made my video Question Everything. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. This is exactly why I tell you guys to question everything, because then you find the real answers. Not saying that Tyler isn't the real shooter. We don't know. But the things that are coming out now, really questionable. And as I was explaining the shooting, the trajectory would have come from his right, or it suggests that it came from his right. Looking at some of the very up close footage of a muzzle flash from a suppressor, I would imagine, it would suggest that there was another shooter. Because I do remember looking at some of that footage there, very up close. I do remember seeing a silhouette of a person shooting a rifle, a suppressed rifle. What I didn't know, and this is what I found out in my previous video as I was doing research, is that the FBI had adopted suppressors into the department back in 2022. So, that really begs the question, was this an ordered hit? Well, there's not really a whole lot of evidence that would suggest that this was an ordered hit per se, but this is exactly what's going to lead us into the Epstein situation. So, look into this. September 10th, the same day that Charlie was assassinated, the House committee had a vote. They were voting on transparency. I'll put it that way. They were voting on transparency for the Epstein list, right? And so the people So it got shot down. It got shot down. This was the House Rules Committee. They had ruled 8-4 to essentially block that transparency. And so this was, I'm going to read the names here, just the last names. Representative Fox from North Carolina, Representative Fishbach from Minnesota, Representative Norman from South Carolina, Representative Roy from Texas, Representative Langworthy from New York, Representative Scott from Georgia, Representative Griffith from Virginia, and Representative Jack also from Georgia. These guys in the House committee had ruled against transparency for the Epstein files. So it doesn't stop there. That same day, it's weird that all of this is happening on the same day. In the Senate, there was a vote for an amendment to force a public release of the Epstein list. And that was also shot down. 51 nay to 41 yay. Okay, so 51 representatives voted no. 49 representatives voted yes. Most of the 51 were Republicans. There were 2 Republicans that voted yes. The rest were Democrat. So explain to me why we have a majority Republican control, yet we also have majority Republicans who are voting against, transparency for the Epstein list, or the Epstein files. And this happened exactly on the same day that Charlie was shot. Explain to me that. This, to me, seems like a massive cover-up. And they used Charlie to distract the American people long enough to block every single thing from being released. And then to to buy time to threaten all the survivors into not saying anything. Because the shooting happened exactly a week after the survivors had announced that they were coming out about their stories. The survivors were coming out about their stories September 3rd. And the shooting happened September 10th. It's really weird to me. Not only that, but if you look into some of the text messages, now I would say that's quite a bit of that stuff is doctored up because the whole situation doesn't make sense to me, right? No one talks to each other as my love, like they're from the fucking 1600s. So what's interesting to me is that there's a snippet in the conversations where Lance asks Tyler, how long have you been planning this? And he said about a week or so. Now, think about this as well. If these cars that were showing up to their place were showing up to their place within days of the incident. So there has to be something more to this. There has to. There has to. We have everything that we need. We have footage, eyewitness accounts, pictures. The only thing that we don't have are pictures of the rounds, I believe. I don't think that they've made them public yet. Or maybe if they do have, please share them with me. But We have a lot of what we need to say, hey, look, this doesn't seem right. This doesn't seem right. So I would not put it past the government to do some absolute shady shit like this in order to cover up their fucking atrocities. Our government has been known to do absolute shady shit. That's how we got involved in the American-Mexican War. That's how we literally recruited Nazi scientists to start not NASA. Look it up. Werner von Braun is a Nazi scientist. And we recruited him in our efforts against communism. Right. Also, the CIA co-opted feminism. Right? Through Gloria Steinman. We know for a fact that our government is and has done doing shady shit. We know that. Again, I'm not making any accusations. I'm just speaking my mind. I'm thinking, I'm asking questions. It's exactly what all of us should be doing. And please, for those of you who are watching, especially all the way through, share this. Please share this. More people need to start asking questions. Because look, was old boy Tyler, was he an absolute leftist lunatic? Oh yeah, of course. But he seemed way too calm in that courtroom. That also doesn't sit right with me. So there's a lot of things that aren't adding up. But you guys let me know what you think. Maybe I'm wrong about some of this. Maybe I'm wrong about half of it. Maybe I'm wrong about all of it. I don't know. I'm just trying to get down to the bottom of things to find out who actually did this. Because we want to make sure that we get justice and true justice for Charlie. And for the survivors of the Epstein Island. Because as much as we're talking about Charlie right now, we also need to be talking about the survivors of the Epstein Island, those victims. There needs to be more victims that come forward, and I would absolutely, I absolutely 100% support them in just laying everything out one day. Fuck our government. Fuck it all. Show up to a podium and just start naming names. Fuck it. Since our government doesn't want to do the job that we had hired them to do, fuck it. We have a First Amendment right. So, use it. You're not breaking the law. Use it. The survivors know who did this to them. And, well, the abusers also know who did this to them as well. I 100% support them just going out one day and just telling their stories and naming names. That is the only way that we would ever get transparency. Because as I just shared with you, we're not going to get it. We are not going to get it any other way. It's not happening. We the people. We the fucking people. Do things legally, of course. I don't believe in breaking the law. Unless the law is already broken by going against the Constitution. Because then it's not a viable law. Because there, it's by then null and void. So, but again, you guys let me know what you think. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off here, just so we're not over time. If this video helped you out, please like, share, subscribe, join the family, guys. I'd love to have you along for the journey to figure out what in the fuck is going on with our society and how to fix it. So, thank you all for watching. If you need me for anything, just reach out. Look after yourselves, both mind and body. Look after each other. I love you all. Wish you a lovely day. If you need me for anything, just reach out. Bye, guys.